Hi guys, how's it going? It is your boy Brad SK22 and welcome back to another Brad SK Reacts. Today we're reacting to something different. It's not a film review, it's not a game review, and it's not just a random video. One of my mates on YouTube that I've mentioned before, and I've said he's mentioned in a couple of videos if you're from my channel. If you're new, my friend the Harvey Paxton show, for his uni class, he had to do a documentary, and I don't know much about it because he hasn't told me for this sole purpose. I've seen screenshots of him advertising it, but other than that, I don't know much about the documentary. I know it's a bit about mental health and mental issues and about disability. So that's pretty much all I pretty much know. I ain't even seen a clip. I ain't even seen like a little trailer for it. And I said I would react to it. I will be putting Harvey's channel down below. And I will also be putting the video down below. So if you want to go check that out, you can do. And show some love and support, because he's worked so hard on this. And like, when I say he's been stressing like hell, he's been stressing like hell, especially to me. The amount of times I had to tell him it was going to be fine and it was going to work, and he was still stressing, was unbelievable. But it's out, and I just want a lot of people to go and check out the video. And if you like the video, go smash it a like and share if you do like it. But we're going to go jump into it, because it is 32 minutes long. Yes, I'm going to sit here for 32 minutes. This is going to be a long ass fucking video. But acknowledge me. Like I said, I don't know about this. I'm kind of excited to drop this. And I really hope you guys like it as well. If you do, smash the like button, subscribe, press the notification bell, comment down below what you thought of the documentary, and if you like it that much, go show some love and that to Harvey. His channel will be in my description, and the video itself will be down in the description, and go share it if you enjoy it. Thank you, and let's jump into it. Acknowledge me. Let's go. Acknowledge me, a righteous look into the valid of disability and mental health. Okay.
Have you ever felt lost in life, all alone? Like you constantly have something to prove to the rest of the world, or even to yourself?
That is my mate Harvey. I think he's done it on purpose of not looking happy, but my God, my G, you look sad. Let's go back, because I have no idea what he said. Let's go.
Have you ever felt lost in life, all alone? Like you constantly have something to prove to the rest of the world, or even to yourself? I do, and I figure that if you're watching this, you do as well, or you're at least somewhat curious.
I think everyone in this world is trying to make themselves have a better life than they've already got. Like, apart from if you're rich and famous, it's like you're gonna try to do better than you already have.
Let's explore something, a correlation if you will. And this personally involves two subjects that I'm very passionate about. The subjects of disability and mental health. Let's see what happens when the gifted speak up, because we certainly have a lot to offer when we're given a chance. And I hope that your mind is at least expanded and open by the end of this. I ask that you take in everything, relax, have a think, and just let me know how you feel afterwards.
I will be giving my thoughts throughout, and at the end of it, I would like to know what you guys think of this documentary down below.
The fact is, they never gave me a spotlight, so I had to take one.
I like that. They never gave me a spotlight, so I had to take one.
This is for anyone who may need it at any point throughout their lives.
Harvey's a proper movie buff. Like, this is why me and Harvey get on. The craziest films that we've talked about is a movie buff. If you go on his channel, he's done film reviews. So he's a proper movie buff.
My name is Harvey. I'm 23 from Bradford. That's all you need to know about me. For now.
Acknowledge Harvey in this moment in time.
Hi Harvey.
Hello.
Can you please tell me about your experiences and your background with mental health?
I suffer from a condition known as Cerebral Palsy, which simply put means I'm not able to walk. And with mental health, I feel like it plays kind of a big factor. I mean, I kind of don't know how to word it, but I feel like when I was younger, it didn't really affect me as much. But as you kind of get older and you kind of develop into your own person, you kind of like throwing a bunch of thoughts around and figuring out who you want to become. So I kind of feel like it affects me in a normal way, like it kind of would affect anyone else, if you get what I mean.
How does managing positive mental health affect your day-to-day life?
I feel like it's important to try and stay on top of it. I mean, I know it's hard, especially in today's current climate, because we've had the pandemic and everything, which we're still going through. I feel like it's important to mention that. And it's important to manage positive mental health so you can kind of keep on track of things and what you need to do. But I also have days where I feel completely unmotivated to kind of do things. And with that being said, I might not do anything for like a few days, but then I might just push myself one day.
The thing that I'm going to say this now, I probably will say this again. And I've said it before in one video that I did. And it was like a speech therapy video with Prince here. And he did like this whole like sketch about mental health, and I said it in that video. It's not spoken about enough than it should be. Obviously there's people out there to help, you if you really need it, but I don't think it's out there much. And I know for a fact it doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, if you're happy or not. It can affect you no matter what. And like Harvey said, it's like it doesn't bother you much as a kid, but when you're an adult and you're trying to find yourself, it affects you. It's going to, because as a kid, all honesty, you don't give a shit. You don't give a crap. You really don't. And you go day to day just laughing, having fun. Because you're a kid, you don't know what is to come of you yet. And obviously still in high school, you still have that laugh. You still are growing up. Even though you're going through exams and stuff like that, you're still growing up. It doesn't get to the point where you leave, say, high school, and you get into like college or university, like Harvey is here, that it starts hitting you about all the pressures. I felt that way, especially. That's Harvey right now, just messaging me on my other phone. But once it gets to you, it is a struggle. And if you've been through it, you know 100% what it's like. And I've seen Harvey in those times, because we speak every day. And it does get, like, especially in lockdown, it's hard for him to just go out. Obviously with his disability, it's hard for him to just go wherever he wants. So when I have time personally to meet up with him, I know it's hard because I have a son and I work, but I try my best to see him and get him out of the house for a bit, even if it is just walking around Bradford. But it affects him more if he doesn't get out the house, and it's understandable. If you're staring at four walls all the time, it's going to affect you.
What are some challenges you have faced into mental health? How have you overcome these?
As I've said, I feel sometimes I feel unmotivated and I have to kind of force myself to do things. Also, sometimes when it comes to looking for an escape, I kind of struggle with that because with my circumstances and how I've had to deal with them over the years, they've kind of affected my social life in a way where I don't really get out as often as I'd like to.
Just like I was saying.
See friends all that often because they've either got other commitments or they're always busy doing other stuff.
And this is what I mean. Even though it's obvious that he has a disability, it's obvious. You can't miss it. But you don't see the disability, you should see the person. That's how I've always seen it. You don't see the disability, you see the person. Me and Harvey met in college, and we clicked instantly. So, for me, I've never seen his disability. Yeah, you can obviously tell it's there, but you don't see that. You see the person behind it, the hyper side of Harvey. And I'm hoping it shows that in the documentary of this part for him. Because this is him being serious, but when he's laughing and having a joke, he's completely different.
Whatever they're doing.
What are some challenges you face with disability and how do you overcome these?
Well, if I'm honest, it's gotten easier as I've gotten older, just because of the fact I'm used to everything. But I feel like it's more challenging from a mental standpoint than a physical standpoint, because physically I'm in my own routine. I know how to kind of do things like kind of survive at home. But mentally it's kind of like, because again I'm still having like the thought processes that a normal person would. And I feel like those two kind of things, they kind of interlink in a way.
Can you pinpoint one thing about your situation that people might not know about or speak of the importance of?
I feel like with disability, I feel like people often assume that we can only do so much, or that we're only capable of doing so much. And it's about like breaking through that kind of threshold and showing people that you really can do stuff. And like, when it comes to considering people, I mean, it might be just me, but I often feel like I'm not really considered in things all too often, or I don't really feel like I'm a part of anything. Like, people are quick to tell you that you're a part of something, this and that, but when you need like reassurance, they often fail to kind of provide that.
What are some common misconceptions about disability and mental health, and can you shut them down?
Again, I think people always assume that we can only do so much, or that we're only capable of doing so much, and it's not always the case. I mean, it's not just physical disability, it comes in many forms, like hidden disabilities, mental health struggles, and I feel like people could do with like educating themselves and just taking the time to like really focusing on stuff. I mean, if you've got a disabled person in, say, like a friend group, you would kind of take that time to kind of get to know more about them, so you can kind of accommodate for them. Whereas I feel like people, like in a wider sense, could do with like educating themselves on things that are important.
I don't want to speak too much while he's talking.
What is your preferred coping mechanism when it comes to disability and mental health?
I prefer music, films, YouTube videos, anything that kind of like allows me to have kind of an escape and forget about the things that I might be feeling that day, or the things that are going on in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they might be kind of trivial to some people, but I feel like the small things are kind of like often overlooked and underappreciated. So for me, I'd say anything from like music, because for me that's an important form of expression as an art form. Films as well, because there's so many different types, genres and whatnot. And
Me and Harvey bond over music and films. We both like the same music. We both like same what we did. We use. How do I put it? We like the same movies, but we have different opinions on some of them. And like one example, and I will say it, was Morbius. I thought the film were a really good film. So me and Harvey and another friend met up. Jess, who comments on my videos, she was there as well. And we went to go see Morbius together. And we actually sat there, and he wasn't a big fan of it. And he is not the one to shy it away from it. If he doesn't like something, you'd know about it, because he makes like sarcastic remarks and stuff like that. And most of the time they are funny. But it's like, I know people who have got annoyed with Harvey to the point where they've ended up falling out or not speaking because of his sarcasm. And people can get along with him, and some people can't. Me and Harvey have always got on. Like I say, with music and films, we like the same music, we listen to the same music, we both like music with beats in, like you've seen on my channel if you've followed my channel for a while. And for films, we pretty much like the same stuff. On rare occasions, we don't like, or we have different views on a film, but mostly we like the same stuff. This is why we connected so much in college, because film and music wise we are alike, and we talk every day about music or films. It's like every day we at least send one photo of a Snapchat song, a Spotify song, sorry, that we've heard, and he sends it over, I listen to it, I send him one, and we kind of get, in our words, hyper about it, because we're on the same base level. And like you were saying about the mental health, if someone's in mental health and disability, if someone's in your group of friends and there's someone with a disability, you're most likely to speak to them and accommodate for them, like you were saying. Once I met Harvey, we was like friends since day one. We clicked straight away when we started talking, because we're just alike. So from that day, I spoke to him more and more and more, even though, yes, when we met, we were in college, I had my separate friend group, and then at first it was separate, and then Harvey. All my mates knew Harvey, and they all spoke to him, but in college, he couldn't get some places from whatever. But I made my best to try and make up for that, to actually sitting down, spending time with him, and speaking to him, having a bit of fun with him. And he keeps messaging me. My phone's right next to me. Harvey, once you see this, you will probably hear my phone blowing up. This is you. Let me react to your stuff, pal. But me and Harvey get on like a house on fire. And I've known about his dark times, and he knows about mine. So we kind of understand each other on that point, and we're always there for each other on that point.
YouTube videos, because anyone can kind of get a camera and kind of make something and upload it. So
That's what I'm doing.
I don't know, seeing all these people do all these kind of things kind of gives me like a sense of hope and inspiration. I can perhaps maybe follow in their footsteps.
He wants a sense of hope. I'm going to say this now. Harvey is now finished uni. Go and check out my mate, the Harvey Paxton Show's YouTube channel. I've said for him for months that I want him to come back. He's got to come back and make another video. And he's been waiting for this, and he wants this. He's waiting for this to put out. He's really proud of this, and I'm really proud that he's managed to do it. The stress that he's had going through. And then we've had conversations where he hasn't known what to do once this drops. Help me get him back into YouTube. I've been saying it for months and he's been debating it. This is the only way I can try get him back in it. I've tried making a video with him. I have tried convincing him to do a video with me, and it hasn't always gone to plan. This is my last option of trying to get him back to YouTube. So I would like, if you can, to go in the description and go to his channel. If you watch one of his videos and you like it, if you like his videos, subscribe. And the more love and support he gets, I'm hoping he comes back. Let's just see. If you can do that for me, highly appreciated.
Steps one day, so my kind of escapism's all into it.
Do you think enough is being done to eliminate the stigma surrounding disability and mental health?
No, all I feel like people could do with like educating themselves a lot with the way social media is. And again, this factors in the pandemic. With the way social media is, people will often post things and share things to do with mental health or kind of memes to try and be funny. But in regards to mental health, it's like they'll share posts along the lines of, 80% of men are suicide victims, blah, blah, blah. It's okay to speak up. And while sharing that stuff's all well and good, you can only do so much with it. I feel like people often don't take the next step. They wouldn't necessarily go out of the way to check up on their friends that need it. And also the phrase, I'll always be here for you, I find that kind of annoying because I feel like when people can't live up to that, which is kind of often because they've kind of got other commitments and whatnot, busy working, and I understand that, but at the same time it's kind of like, are you sure you can't take 5 or 10 minutes out of your day to check up on how your friends are doing and whatnot? So with that, it's like, instead of saying I'll always be here for you, because that sets up unrealistic expectations and kind of false promises, and people who often expect that from maybe a good friend of theirs would feel let down. So I feel like they should think about changing that term of phrasing. Maybe instead of saying I'll always be here for you, maybe say something along the lines of I'll be here for you when I can. Because at least that way, nothing's ever promised. And I feel like just kind of changing, like, I don't know, maybe a few words in that sentence can like really help people and put things into perspective.
Me and Harvey have had conversations endlessly about this situation. And he knows my thoughts on it. If you want, I can get Harvey in a video and get his thoughts and views on the actual documentary. If you're wanting that to happen, which I would gladly do so, then we could make it happen. Let me know down in the comments.
Have you got any advice for anyone watching this who might be finding it tough right now?
This is going to sound really strange, really weird, but I would say personally this is not to like, I would say to like, don't be afraid to embrace the reality of your situation. And what I mean by that is, say one day you wake up and you're feeling a bit down in the dumps and, I don't know, you feel a bit upset. I would say to kind of embrace that and not shy away from it, because we often go through life telling people we're all fine and stuff, putting on a smile, and sometimes people can see through that, and it's not always kind of easy to maintain that kind of image. So I would say to kind of embrace the reality of your situation. Like if you're feeling sad and whatnot, maybe embrace that for a little bit, acknowledge that is there, because that way it kind of gets you thinking about what you can do to kind of change that, make yourself feel a bit better, and I feel like that kind of stuff really helps.
They always say with mental health and stuff that comes into mental health and illness. You'll be fine. It's all in your head. I spoke about this plenty of times before. I spoke about it on the video that I mentioned at the beginning, and I spoke it to most all my friends, most of my mates that I know. But with people saying it's all in your head and just do something, you'll be fine. You're making yourself feel this way. Snap out of it. Now, if they're saying that, they haven't been through it. And that's all I'm going to say. If they haven't been through it, they do not understand. Most of the people I know have been through it. And we can all relate to each other. We all understand each other. And yes, it's hard for people to open up. But once you get that close bond with someone, they start telling you what they've been through. I know a lot of stuff about most of my mates that have done stuff. I've done stuff, not gonna lie. My past is a past for a reason. Everyone has a past. But when it gets like that, and you talk to your friends about it, it doesn't get better. But you start focusing on what is actually going on. You're actually admitting that the process you're going through. And I spoke to Harvey many a times, and he spoke to me like a load of times about the situation. And this is why we get on, because we just listen and then talk to each other. And I don't think it's out there much. And like you were saying, always there for you. We've both had loads of people like that. And with him, it's more serious. And that's why he said he doesn't like it. Because a lot of people that I know has said that to him. And when he's messaged them saying he wanted someone to talk to, they haven't been there. And I always try to make sure, at least every day, I manage to speak to him. At one point during the day, I make sure I try and speak to him. And this is not because I need to, or I want to make sure he's okay, or I want to do this and just check a box saying, oh yeah, I've checked in with Harvey, he's fine. I want to do it because he's my mate. And yes, I work, I have a son, and it's a lot harder to like make plans and go out and see Harvey and spend day together. But when we do, that's what makes it better, is because we've taken the time to plan it, we've taken the time to actually set a date, and then we fill the day with God knows what we want to do. But we've known people that let us both down in the past, and that's why he doesn't like it, and that's why I don't like that saying. If you're not going to be there, that's fine, just don't say you're going to. So this is other people and their thoughts and their views and their disabilities and mental illness, I'm guessing.
Individual struggles can take many forms, and sometimes they're not always obvious. How many times have you taken a step back to consider the thoughts, feelings, and validity of those? I understand it's not always easy, but at the same time, gaining an understanding of people around us can make a world of difference in helping them feel like they belong. And I know that from my own personal experience, it often feels like I'm being more considerate of others than they are of me. I want to pass the spotlight over to a few special individuals who graciously came forward to share their own experiences and stories. One of the greatest lessons I learned from this was that communication can open up over chance for education, and I feel like it's especially appropriate for a film like this. It's not just me who deserves to be acknowledged, so let's hear what the people have to say.
Acknowledge these people. If you get that reference, acknowledge me, then you would understand. If you don't, the brief of it all is Roman Reigns from WWE. Me and Harvey have like a bond over that as well. So we always say acknowledge me to each other and take the piss out of each other using that line. This is why Harvey wanted to use it into the video. Because it's people coming forward about their views, their disabilities, their mental health and their story. And the best way to put it is acknowledge them. There's been all week where he's put Snapchats out with a little brief sentence and then acknowledge them. And I think even though me and him joke about it and stuff, it brings a lot of meaning because it makes you actually watch and listen to these people. So when you're going through this, acknowledge them, listen to them, and this is their side of the story. This is George's.
Hi Toby, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Could you please give me some background on your experiences regarding mental health?
Mental health, yeah, absolutely. So I'm quite lucky to say I've never properly been affected by mental health. However, not to say that my life hasn't been affected by it. I'm lucky enough to be a really proud uncle. Both my nephews have severe medical conditions regarding the heart, regarding having pacemakers and stuff like that. And it's incredible to see how much mental health affects young children now. It's not just the stigma when children do this, it affects older people. It's worrying to see how much it affects younger children these days, especially nephews.
And it's come, I think, more in lockdown that you've seen it affect younger children. Like before, like a long time ago, it used to be like adult men and adult women. And now it seems to have transitioned down to young adults and then teenagers. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into mental health, illness and stuff like that. And like I said before, I don't think there's much out of this. More out there. Yes, there's this company, Samaritans, you've got this if you need help, you can talk to people if you need help. But it's not out there enough for people to talk to. And I think this is why this is a great documentary to put out. And I'm not just saying that because it's Harvey's documentary, I'm not. The matter of fact is, it's not out there enough. And for him to put something out like this out, he's never done it before. He's always wanted to do it, but never has done. And while this was his uni project, and while he's managed to do it, he's actually made him realise what more he can do. And how more he can reach out to people and actually talk to people and get to know their sides of the story and get to know what they've been through and, like I said, acknowledging them and being there for them.
He's such a talented and such a clever little boy. However, because of his medical conditions and implications, he sort of gets excluded almost. And you start to really see it when George is telling I don't want to go to school tomorrow, I'm going to read me out again. And it's really sad. But unfortunately, this is quite sad. This is the world we live in, and this is what needs to change.
With what your nephew suffered with, do you feel like that has a knock-on effect on how you feel?
Yes, because I think whenever you see a family member upset or apprehensive or nervous, it's going to make you feel the exact same emotions. Now, academically, George thrives. He is an amazing little boy. He's not behind at school. It doesn't stop him physically. But it is sad to see that when someone will leave George out because of his medical conditions, because they're too scared to go near him. Yeah, it is quite sad to see.
Why do you think they leave him out? Because of what he suffers with?
Well, I don't think it's intentional. I don't think any child intentionally leaves someone out. I think it's because they don't have the knowledge about it. I think for a young child to see someone who doesn't look similar to them, I think it's because they've not been taught that it's okay not to be this normality. It's okay not to be normal. have in schools and primary education, it's not taught. And I think the children do it because they think if we hurt George or something goes wrong, then we could get in trouble. And I think it's unfair that that stops George from living a normal life compared to others.
Do you feel like enough is being done to raise awareness surrounding mental health?
I think in secondary education and college, mental health and disability, that is something that's talked about a lot. I think in primary education, it's not talked about enough. I think, you know, you're growing up with these children from reception to year 6, that's 7 years of your life you're together. And they're not being taught that it's okay not to be normal, it's okay not to be able to walk, be in a wheelchair, have a heart problem.
Do you feel like, as a society, do you feel like we're moving in the right direction in terms of representation and helping people feel like they belong and stuff like that?
I think we are, yeah. As a whole, we are moving in the right direction. I just don't think it's at the pace it should be. I feel like we are taking baby steps when we should be doing. It's quite sad to see because so many people who are talented in this industry are getting left behind because they can't do what a normal able-bodied person could do. And it's wrong because who's to say they're not as talented as the other person? Which it's wrong. But we are slowly getting there to allowing equality for all. Yeah.
What does George want to do when he grows up?
Oh gosh. What does George not want to do with growing up? He's massive on football. He loves football. Newcastle United. It's where he was there for 3 years of his life in the hospital, so he loves Newcastle. He loves animals. I think he told me recently he wants to be a zookeeper. He loves helping animals and looking after them, which is really, really quite nice to see.
And Harvey reaching out to these people, I think, is really good because it gets it out there of people of different kinds getting it out there. Harvey's said his story. There's George's that said his story. There's Oliver. There's loads of people that Harvey got in touch with to do this documentary. And the way it's been edited is really, really good. And I know the name of the editor. So Gina, Gina, I think it is. Shout out to you because you've done a really good job. Really good job. And Harvey kept gassing you up while you were waiting. He probably won't want me to tell you that, but he has. But let's continue.
Hi, it was my pleasure to meet you. Could you please give me your thoughts regarding mental health and like your experiences with it?
So, when I was 15, I was diagnosed with autism and anxiety disorder as well, and OCD. I feel like, I mean, I don't really tell people that I've got disabilities, just because when I was younger there was a lot of stereotypes behind it, and you know, a lot of people would joke about them. A lot of my friends would laugh at people with autism, so I tend to not tell people about it. I mean, when I was going through college, no one knew I had any disabilities, so I just kind of kept them close to me and didn't really tell people about it.
How does it affect you on a day-to-day basis?
I feel like, because obviously I'm 22 now, so I've been diagnosed for about 7 years. I feel like I've been able to cope with it through that time. When I was first diagnosed, it was a lot harder. I didn't really know how to cope with it. So family was really important. I mean, they still are. They help me through on a weekly basis. If I've got any concerns or anything, you know, they're always there to talk to. And they really help me get through it. I feel I'm a lot more independent than I was, and I think through obviously the 7 years that I've had with it, I've done really well to cope.
In the beginning, why do you think you chose to hide your struggles?
I mean, I still tend to hide it now. Not as much as before. Just because of the stigma behind it and people, you know, judging and thinking that everyone everyone with a certain disability is the same. And people didn't understand it, autism, around like 5 years ago. I mean, there's been a lot of awareness over the last 5 years about it, and people understand it more, because more people have been like diagnosed, and obviously schools and stuff are doing a lot more about it now. But people didn't understand it, and they just thought it was something, especially when I was younger, you know, people just took the mick out of it and stuff. So I just tended to hide it.
What's your preferred coping mechanism when it comes to autism?
Talking to family, I'd say. I mean, it's just nice to, if I've got a concern or if I'm struggling on a day-to-day basis, it's really helpful to use them and to talk to them about it. I mean, I don't think I'd have got through it without them. And, you know, teachers at school and stuff, they were amazing.
And I'm going to interrupt it a little bit there, but people don't talk about it enough. I'm going to say this throughout the thing. And I know this is a long video, I've said it will be, but people don't speak about it. And like Oliver has said, you're going through stages of when you was a kid of people not knowing much about it, so they used to make a joke and they used to have a laugh about it. And people who are like in that friend group could have a hidden disability, or they could have a disability that you're just not seen. And it might be obvious to the person that has the disability, but it doesn't mean it's always going to be actually visible for like friends or family. So for him to not being able to open up straight away is not healthy for him, because then he's hiding a bit of himself. And then, like he said, in the past 5 years, his autism, it seemed to get out there more in school, so it's now getting better, and it's making more awareness for people with autism, because people are getting diagnosed, which is great. And it should be like this with all mental illnesses and disabilities. All of like the hidden ones, or the physical ones that you can see, and the mental illnesses and everything like that. It should be more out there.
It took me quite a long time to get diagnosed, because people just thought it was bad behaviour. But as I said, I don't think I'd have got through it without family. That's my main coping mechanism, is just to talk to people.
What advice would you give to people that perhaps don't have the same support network when it comes to speaking to people?
There's a lot of organisations out there that you can contact. There's one called Minds Matter, which are really good, and there'll be many others. I just recommend, you know, trying to get in contact with an organisation which you can talk to. I mean, or, you know, trust a friend, speak to a friend about it, teacher. If you can't talk to your family, then I think a teacher or a friend is a good way forward.
Do you feel like there's a difference in the way that you perhaps cope with your autism now as opposed to like when you were younger?
Yeah. So I mean, when I was younger, unfortunately, when I was in primary school, I was diagnosed just after year 6. I was unable to sit my SATs because I was going through the diagnosis. I was unable to be in the classroom when I was getting diagnosed, because I just wouldn't go in the classroom. So I was unable to sit my SATs. So when I went to secondary school, I was in literally the lowest sets for everything. But I was actually quite smart, so I mean, it was all about studying really hard, and yeah, I think I've carried that on into being an adult. I'm always quite academic, but then when it comes to social situations, I'm a bit more keep out of the way a little bit more, a bit quieter. But yeah, at the moment in my studies, I'm a second year student at the Bradford School of Art, doing a Bachelor of Arts degree.
Do you have any advice for people that might be struggling with anything right now?
Just talk to someone. I think it's the best do the things you enjoy. Hobbies are really important to me. I do a lot of sport, which keep me focused and not thinking about the things that panic me.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This is the person that edited the documentary. But before we get onto hers, I just want to say, yes, it's out there, and you should talk to people, because everywhere you go, it tells you, speak up, speak to family, speak to friends, teachers, anyone, and that's easier said than done. And yes, people can tell you to go speak to someone, but it's not up to them, it's you. If you're going through like mental health or going through a rough time, and if you have a disability and it's heightened it and it's made it maybe a little bit worse than other people think, you have to get through the stage in your head of being able to speak to someone. And I know how hard it is, because I never used to speak to people, because I've been through pretty much most of the stuff. I don't want to get much into it, but it's easier said than done than just going to speak to people. And people can say left, right and centre, go speak to someone. You will feel better once you've done it. You can speak to anyone. Like Oliver said, there's companies out there, there's family, there's friends. But in hindsight, you have to get yourself to that point in time. If you need help or if you are scared, you have to get yourself to that moment to actually speak to someone. And it is harder than it seems. It's not as easy as waking up one morning and say, oh right, I'm going to speak to someone today. It doesn't work like that. But it's understanding what you're going through, the process that you're going to have to take, and understanding yourself and how you've been, and then getting round your head of actually speaking to someone and getting round to opening up to someone, which is scary as hell when you're at your lowest. Actually sitting down and explaining to someone how you feel, because it's hard to open up to someone, especially if you've been hurt and it's led to mental illness, or like I said, disability has hyphened your mental illness. It's hard to actually speak to someone. But once you get to that point and actually able to push yourself to the point of actually speaking, then it can start getting better. Some people it works speaking to people, and sometimes it doesn't. And in the long run, speaking to someone does help. Or that's my opinion. In the long run, you tend to open it up to at least one person. And that's my opinion. I've opened up to a few people I know, and there's still stuff people don't know, and there's some people know everything. Like even now I can't speak about it, and it should be able to, but like I said, it's that barrier of actually getting to the point of speaking to someone, and you will do it in your own time. And it's hard. It's harder than it's like I said. It's not as easy as it sounds. You don't wake up and just say, "Look, I'm ready. I'm going to speak to someone today." It takes time for you to get to that process, and that time that process takes will be worth it. But I'm going to stop rambling on, and we're going to listen to Gina's story. This is the editor. Shout out to Gina, because you've smashed it with this documentary. You've done really well. And I know Harvey appreciates it very, very much. So let's hear your side.
Gina, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Could you please give me some background on your condition?
Yeah, so I suffer with a condition called endometriosis, which a lot of people haven't really heard of, but it's quite common in women. Statistics show that it affects around 1 in 10 women in the UK. So So yeah, I've suffered with that since I was about 19, and I'm now nearly 24.
How does it affect your day-to-day life?
So it's a lot of it is the tiredness and the fatigue. It can be really hard to kind of function and do day-to-day activities like other people. I do sleep a lot when I'm not having a good day. The way I describe it is it feels like I've been hit by a truck. It's horrible. But it can just cause like severe pain. And there has been times before where it's caused like loss of control of like my bladder and stuff like that. So when it was really bad and at its worst, I would literally be confined to my bed or the bathroom all day. It's usually I have a hot water bottle with me. And if you
I didn't know all about that illness, and this is why it's good, like documentaries like this are out, because you get to see different people and get to know their story, because everyone's different. You like they've said before, when you think of disability, you think everyone's got the same, or it used to be everyone's got the same. It's different. It's not. Everyone has a different type of disability or mental health.
ever seen me with that, or people ask me, oh, why have you got that? And it's because it dulls the pain sometimes. It just makes me feel a bit more comforted if I've got to go somewhere.
Can you pinpoint one thing about your condition that people might not know and shine a light on it, perhaps?
I think the main thing about chronic pain, and especially hidden disabilities or hidden illnesses, is that when people look okay, or they're not physically disabled, if you like, people assume that they're okay. So I think that it's really important for people's conditions to be talked about and for education to be encouraged around all different kinds of illnesses. Because a lot of people say to me, they might see me with my hot water bottle walking around the office looking fine, and they'll say, oh, are you cold? Oh, have you got backache? It's kind of like, no, I've got a chronic pain condition that affects my ovaries, actually. It's one of them that's like, I'm actually in agony. So I think that's the biggest misconception, and people don't really know what endometriosis is and conditions like this.
Is there a personal lesson that dealing with your struggles taught you?
I think be less judgmental of other people, and sometimes unconscious bias overtakes how you act in your day-to-day life. And actually I always just make an effort now to say to people, are you okay? And maybe just go the extra mile and be like, are you okay? Like, put long answers only. I heard someone say that Stephen Bartlett from Dragon's Den, he actually he said, we ask each other, oh, are you okay, how are you? And rarely anyone replies. They just go, oh yeah, you're right. And it's very kind of throwaway. But actually started saying, how are you, long answers only. And so I kind of try to encourage that in my day-to-day life, because you never know what someone's going through, and just because someone might look okay, you never know what's going on inside or in their life. So definitely just be kinder and be more open to other people's struggles and experiences.
What are your preferred coping mechanisms?
I do take a lot of time out to exercise, but my exercise routine has had to massively adapt and change since my diagnosis and my symptoms started, because not jumping around and doing heavy lifting isn't always the best thing. So I've looked at other things such as yoga and bar, things like that, so to help me stay active. And that's a huge part of my mental health. Is if I was in a position tomorrow where I couldn't exercise, I'd be really struggle, because that is really my outlet. But in terms of mental health as well, self-care, so taking time out for yourself, listening to your favourite music or reading a book, watching something that, like, I had COVID 2 weeks ago, and I literally just sat and binge watched Friends, and I was like, I haven't done this for so long, and it felt amazing. There's nothing anyone could do about it. There's nothing I could do about it, and that just gave me a refresher.
Is there any charities or organisations that you know of that can point people in the direction for support?
So in terms of chronic pain, there is Endometriosis UK. There's Mind in Bradford, which supports mental health struggles for people who might not have a physical ailment or condition. It might just be that they're struggling mentally. So they are organisations that are quite closely linked to my personal services. There's also obviously Samaritans. My sister and I run a sort of, it's an initiative called Pain into Power, and it's specifically for women with chronic pain, and it's about offering a creative platform and a safe space for women who suffer with chronic pain, who might have conditions like endometriosis or fibromyalgia or other unrecognised conditions, and they can connect with women who have those same experiences, and that can really benefit mental health. So that's something that we're working on progressing and developing as well.
Thank you very much for your time.
And what is the personal lesson that dealing with your situation has taught you?
This is going to sound cliche.
This is what I mean. It can be hidden or physical. Mostly when it's hidden, people just get on with the day-to-day lives and don't bother. I understand if it is noticeable, it's easy to talk about. But even when it's physical, people don't speak about it. But when it's hidden, it's more hard for people to open up about it. Because if people don't realise, it's harder for them to open up. Because like Oliver said, when he was younger, and especially when I was in like high school, it wasn't out there much. And people used to make fun of it because they didn't know what it was. Like different types of like disabilities or mental health issues. And I've said before in this video, you don't understand unless you've been through it. And that's just the truth. People do get it worse. You have a lot of things that come into mental illness. And a lot of categories come under it. And it's got worse and worse. Especially in the lockdown. I think it has got worse. Yes, it's got better, a little bit better with getting it out there, but it's not out there enough. And it's documentaries like these that I really think does help. So, there's 3 minutes left. I'm going to finish this. If you have liked this video, smash the like button, subscribe, share this, and get it out for people to see. Because it might get to someone that it might help them open up. Hearing about other people's like challenges and their mental health issues or their mental disability issues, and it might help them to open up to people. So it's getting the talk going. It's getting the conversation flowing more out there. So if you can, share this out and get to people watch it. Because you never know, it actually might help someone getting it out.
It sounds really kind of like it's been said so many times before, but you just can't give up. And you could argue that there's some kind of toxic energy around that, you know, it's kind of like forcing this ideology onto people. But I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it in the sense of, well, what choice do we have? You know, everybody's trying to go through life, trying to get comfortable, trying to make something for themselves, and often, sometimes that kind of thing can get clouded or kind of misconstrued. So like, I say don't give up in the sense that like, what choice do we have? Because I feel like not giving up, just like, what would you rather do? You know, you can't just, would you rather throw everything away? Like, I'm sure you wouldn't. So you just can't give up, you have to keep kind of pushing forward. And although things seem impossible, they're very, very possible. And I'm sure like everybody kind of listening to this and watching this can, you know, kind of use this to kind of push themselves forward. Because I'm in a wheelchair, I've done this such and such, why can't you do the same kind of thing? So I'd say to people like not to give up, as cliche as that is.
In a better Jewish world.
Have you overcome something significant within your personal story that you're most proud of?
I think just the fact of being able to kind of live a normal life, if that makes sense. Because from a young age I was put in a special school. The doctors told me I wouldn't really be able to do much. I think they mentioned somehow I was able to kind of break through those barriers and kind of like live a normal life. Go to school, go to college. I'm now doing a degree, film degree at university, and for the life of me I couldn't tell you how I managed to do it, but I feel like the fact I've kind of managed to kind of break through the barriers that have been kind of expected of me, that is something I'll always be proud of, that people can't take away from me. I'm Harvey and I acknowledge myself and others.
I'm Prabdeep and I acknowledge myself and others. I'm Rebecca and I acknowledge myself and others.
I'm Jack and I acknowledge myself and others.
I'm Oliver and I acknowledge myself.
I'm Toby and I acknowledge myself and others.
I'm Gina and I acknowledge myself and others.
These are all the people that have spoke or been a part of the documentary. So if you guys are watching these or watching this reaction, acknowledge you. Well done to getting over that barrier and actually speaking about it. Acknowledge me. What can I say? Harvey, Gina, well done on the documentary. Harvey, I'm not just saying it because you're my friend, but I acknowledge you. I acknowledge all of the people in this documentary. And if this helps people to open up, then share this as much as you can. It's very hard for people to get to that point, like I have said. It's not as easy as just waking up and going for it. But stuff like this doesn't get shared out that much. And it's not out there enough. It's out there, but not enough. You see adverts of speak to people, do this and do that. It's not as easy as they make out to be on adverts. And when you hear people's experiences, it kind of puts into life and gets you in. It kind of gets you into like a focus of what they've been through, and you've got to understand it's not just them. There's a lot of people dealing with stuff, but they're dealing with it in silence. There's a lot of people, and no matter what age you are, they could be people that old generation, the young adults, teenagers, you've got young adults and you've got kids. As crazy as it sounds, there's kids with these feelings. So if we're going to start talking about it and getting it out there, we have to start doing it. We've been saying for a very long time it's not out there enough. Why don't we change that? If you have enjoyed this video, like, subscribe and press the notification bell for more reactions to come and more gaming stuff. Like I said, Harvey's channel will be in the description and his actual video, Acknowledge Me, will be in the description as well. Go show him some love and share this video and get it out there. I know some people might be biased and not want to share it. They might watch it on their own. And that's fine. You can watch it in your own time as many times as you want, because it makes you think. But if you're either watching that video or this video, know that you're not alone. It's okay not to be okay. And when you're ready, People will be there to speak to you. In your own time. Don't force it, because it can make it worse. And sometimes it can make it a lot worse. So when you're ready, in your own time, acknowledge you and share your story. But it has been your boy, Brad SK22. And until the next video, guys, stay safe, stay well, acknowledge you, and acknowledge everyone else. And peace.